Have you discovered the completely redesigned positively.com yet? When you create a free account at positively.com, you can enroll in fun, accessible, and free online courses to help you and your dog live your best lives together. Join the community completely dedicated to supercharging your relationship with your dog at positively.com today. That's positively.com. And now, on to the podcast. Victoria Stilwell Positively Dog Trainers, VSPDTs, are a group of, I call them the creme de la creme of trainers, not just here in the United States, but around the world. And I love the people in this team. We fortunately have regular meetups now where we can discuss everything dog training and behavior. It's a really great, supportive community. And one of the members of this community is Neika Smessaert. She is vet tech coach, and she is a trainer in Indiana. She is a veterinary technician as well. And for those of you in the UK, that's a veterinary nurse. She has been a trainer for many, many years, and a VSPDT, I think, for many years as well. And she's also, well, I'm going to let her tell you her story, but she's really helping VSA become more inclusive. And so welcome, Neika. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited about talking about the journey and the story today.
So you are a vet tech and you're also a dog trainer. How has that helped you? How has being a vet tech helped you as a dog trainer and behavior expert?
So I started long day ago. Even when I was in high school, I did a sort of a work study program that they had, worked at a veterinary clinic, then went to Purdue. Thought at first I wanted to go to vet school. I had never heard of a veterinary technician in my life. I didn't know anything about it. I completed 2 years of undergrad and someone mentioned veterinary technology and I said, wait, that is what I want to do. I want to work with the animals, right? So I had some farm background with farm animals. So for a stretch, I wasn't exactly sure which direction I would head. But so that started all the way back at 16 and then graduated from Purdue and worked in a couple of small animal clinics before coming sort of back roughly to my hometown area where I was lucky enough to work with a female veterinarian who absolutely encouraged us to chase our dreams, even if those dreams took us out the door, right? Several people, one girl went off to Hawaii to train dolphins. I mean, the stories out of that clinic are wild. But I had a lot of behavior interest over the years. Back when Dr. Lucier was still at Purdue, they had a program called Dogs. That was it, just dogs. You went there for like a weekend a month, I think for like 4 months for these intensive all day things, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And that was how I really got started with Dr. Lucier and his technician at that time. And there really weren't a lot of certifying bodies really at that time. I think ABC was around, but still hadn't really, wasn't really accessible at that time. So then I just kept learning more and more and starting puppy classes and doing little bits of behavior until I felt comfortable doing more complex things and getting more education along the way.
So you're here now. You are a certified dog trainer. You have been, working for years, and you do. I mean, you offer everything from puppy training, don't you? Those first important weeks, those first important months into adulthood, dealing with behavior issues. But the journey into, and talk about inclusivity, which is very important, and especially even now in the climate that we are living in, unfortunately, where we really still must think of inclusivity in all of our businesses. VSA does not discriminate against any community, against any race, color, creed. But I think every company needs to have help on how we do that. Because there's one thing saying it, but it's another thing actually doing it, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have all kinds of people working for us. And I'm very proud of that. When we put it out there and there's a job opportunity, we look at all candidates, right? And we find a candidate that we think fits well with the community. But when we put something out, it's basically all women. And it's all women that apply. And it's definitely something that we're like, we know the dog training industry is a female-dominated industry, except in the media, and then it's male-dominated. Well, shocker, Shocker for that. But the vet community, let's talk about that, because that's where you started, was very much more tendency to be male, but is now skewing more female. However, when we're talking about other communities, it's still got a long way to go, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I think I probably was in those transitional years where veterinarians were, maybe 50-50, right? And it's tipped over since then to much more 65%, 68%, I think, female, as opposed to male, which I find incredibly interesting. And I've read different thoughts on reasons why that could be, but there's still a long way to go for further inclusion of other communities within the group. And I still can't figure out if it is because it is an environment that doesn't foster that, or if there's a perception that the environment doesn't foster that. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, it's an issue that communities, not just here in the United States, or I should say businesses, not just here in the United States, but around the world, have been focusing on, need to be focusing on more. I mean, we say with our students that come to VSA, we have, again, all kinds of students. We have students that are visually impaired, that are deaf, that are hard of hearing. We have persons living with a disability. We have students from all kinds of backgrounds, colors, races, creeds. We want to welcome everybody, and everybody is welcome. We support the LGBTQ plus community. We have people working for us that are part of that community. And I feel like with a community as varied as that, I feel like we are better for it, as in we can see things from others' perspective, something that we might not have thought of before, but we can be educated about it. So but this is now. When we started, right? We started and we didn't have any accommodations for people that were deaf. And then we had a student apply. And her name was Leah. And she opened our eyes to the possibilities, but also, what was lacking and what we could do. She empowered us. And because you are hard of hearing, and because you understand that, you became her faculty advisor and were able to help her, help us. And now we are able to welcome deaf students. So tell us about Leah and about how you helped her. She's an extraordinary woman, by the way. And we're going to have her here on the podcast, I'm hoping next month.
Yes. Hopefully a part 2 to some of the things we'll talk about today.
Yes.
So I had been learning ASL during COVID.
That's American Sign Language, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah. So Canada uses primarily ASL, United States. So ASL is English, essentially English Sign Language, but there's over 300 different versions of sign language. So so I had been learning ASL for a couple of years, through, looking back now, I call it club learning. So I was, finding people online that maybe had different levels of learning and, going to class each week online and meeting new people and getting an opportunity to practice. But there isn't a strong deaf community here, which, I've since learned is super important to them to have a strong community of people that they know that they can go to for their doctor, all different kinds of things, right? And lots of times those do revolve around universities or other deaf schools. So Indianapolis has a school for the deaf as well. So there's a good deaf community down there and access for them in different areas. So I had been learning ASL for a couple of years and thought I was doing pretty good. And it was like, I don't want to discount that, but if you're not using it every day, it's not something that you can become easily fluent at, especially if you're not speaking to other native signers. I'm talking to other students a lot of times who are also learning. So when you reached out and said, hey, we have a deaf student looking to apply. Do we have anyone that knows ASL? And I'm like, I do. And I'm the kind of person that like, sure, let's give it a whirl, right? So I meet her and really quickly in that first session, she says, you're a beginner. And I'm like, ooh. Wow. So I felt myself, get all hot and, like, oh my gosh. But I think there's something, and I've heard this before from other people, there's something about my personality or how I present myself to the world that is genuine to people. And I really wanted to be a person that, she could trust and was safe. And I really wanted to help her through this journey. So we were able to organize an interpreter to use. And it still allowed me to practice my sign and read ASL well. The interpreters, a lot of times there were two of them because we would meet for an hour, which when you're talking about in-depth issues, so really serious topics, so universities level type things, it can be very taxing on the interpreter, not only because they may not know the signs for those particular words, or they may not even have a sign for those. So it can get really taxing. So we try to continue to try to get the same interpreter or interpreters both times, and they would kind of go on and off every half hour or so. And I was able to read sign a lot better than I was able to sign by the time we were done with her schooling. But I believed in her as much as she believed in me. There is a term in deaf culture, or maybe it's a hearing thing that we use to describe it, but it's deaf blunt. They are straight and direct and to the point. So for her to say you're a beginner was not an insult. I of course was like, oh, but it was what it was. It was just a factual statement that I was not fluent enough to hold such a deep topic for such a long period of time. I wasn't ready. So because of the relationship I had with her, I then enrolled in Gallaudet. I wanted the real deal. I want university level sign language. And I was able to complete ASL 1 through 5, and 6 hasn't yet been offered for me yet. And that has improved my ASL tenfold. Wow. All the teachers, I think I can say all the teachers were native deaf signer, ASL signers. So that was incredibly important to me. So
you say parts of the course, obviously the VSA course, were more challenging. Because, yes, some of these words, maybe they've never, even the interpreters have never heard before. Right. They're pertinent to our industry.
Correct. Yeah.
So that was challenging in order to kind of get the information across there.
Yeah. And in ASL, if they don't know a word, or maybe there isn't a sign for it, collectively, they kind of agree that, maybe it's initials for somebody, like you became just VS. right? Like you were just VS. You're not going to spell your entire name, but we know when you say VS, we know what that means.
Got it. I see.
Yeah.
So that my sign was the V sign.
Like VS. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, so like, okay. So
Victoria
we
Stilwell.
are, this is going to be available video with captions for the deaf community.
Mm-hmm.
We only sort of put like portions of our podcast up on social media, but for this, we want to have the deaf community be able to listen to this podcast. And so that's okay. So the
Yes.
V, I'm putting my fingers up like this for people that are listening, and then that's
S.
the S.
So
here.
like a fist,
Like
but
a
like
fist with that.
Yeah.
Okay, VS.
Yeah.
Great.
And then so VSA, you just move your
VSA.
thumb over here. Yeah.
Okay.
So VSA. Yeah.
Okay. I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be, because my husband always laughs because my fingers, I just don't know. They have the mind of their own. They always have. And it's hard for me to, when anybody does any kind of signs and it's like the Star Trek sign or the this or that, it takes me a while to get my fingers into place. I don't know. They're just stodgy. But this is cool. I just learned how to say VSA in sign language. So.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Since Leah, we now have 2 more deaf students. So VSA hopefully is leading the way in this. Yay. We have 2 more deaf students, which is very exciting. So Neika, tell me about them.
So one from Canada, which is amazing because thankfully she also uses ASL, right? That has been incredibly fun. And also the other thing about the deaf community is that different regions will have different signs. So sometimes like Leah signs puppy like this, like puppy.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, it's really cute.
That's a perfect thing for a puppy.
Yeah. Sometimes, like baby dog, you might sign. So we would have cute conversations about, she might sign something and Leah would say, wait, again, what was that? So we would, fingerspell what she was signing and just, oh, that's so cute. One interesting little fun fact, in Canada that we learned last week when we met was she needed to learn how to count slower apparently for something at her job. And so she says she's signing this. So she's like 1 Mississippi. She didn't fingerspell the entire Mississippi, but I'm like, wait, you're from Canada and you use 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi.
Hey, everybody uses that. We even use that over in the UK.
You do?
Yes.
I love that.
We just, even kids, we use that. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. And we all learned to spell Mississippi from a very early age. Goodness knows why over there. But yeah. So everybody uses that.
That's really funny. Fun. See, I learned something. The interesting thing about your voice and your accent, though, is sometimes it doesn't pick up exactly the correct word, or even captioning, which, hopefully we're talking slow enough in this that it'll pick it up okay. It might not put the, period in the correct spot. So if you say something and then the next word is yes, or in the English language, sometimes we'll say, no. Well, that doesn't transfer well when you're talking, signing to a deaf person or they're reading, captioning, right? So those things, sometimes she would just with her phone take a video and she's like, what is she saying? I'm like, oh, good point. This is what she's actually saying. So.
Okay. Now let's talk about going out and becoming a dog trainer in the community. And of course, I'm going to be asking Leah this as well next month, but I'd like to get sort of your perspective. So let's say you're looking for a dog trainer and you come across somebody that says that they are hard of hearing or that they are deaf. And I think those communities say, I'm passed over because if I put that I'm going to get passed over by regular people. But tell us how actually, please don't do that. Please don't pass over these people. Because if they have an interpreter, then what's stopping you? Mm-hmm. Right?
And sometimes you don't even need an interpreter. We have all of our meetings on Zoom. Leah, she doesn't live in my state, and we are either signing, or if I don't know the sign for something, our closed captioning is on and I can use my voice and say it. I'll double check that it said the word or the way that I needed it to be said. And then we move on. Those things are readily available and getting better as time even goes on, but our phones are always right here. So talk to text, like you can do it, face it towards them. I
So
can't
you're talking about virtual consultations
or in
or
person,
in
right? You
person
use your
with your phone.
phone and just talk and work and show them, she will sometimes use her voice. It's a very personal choice whether they use their voice because of there's what's called a deaf accent. So because they can't hear themselves speak, sometimes it does sound different to us. And it took me a little while to also understand that word order, ASL is not signing exact English. There's something called SEE, signing exact English or signed exact English, which sometimes people do, which is what SimCom is, which is why it's really hard for me to try to do that today. I'm not as advanced. But ASL is not signed exact English. So for example, if I say, are you working today? I might say working today, why? So the order, the sentence structure is different. So when they type things or, maybe talk to text, she is a teacher at a school. Let me back up. Leah, her career came from being a teacher at a school for over 10 years. So at a deaf school. So her English is very good. But for some of the deaf community, the sentence structure makes us potentially question intelligence. And that is incredibly unfair. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. They think that ASL is fingerspelling every single word, but that isn't how that works. They don't fingerspell every word.
So, okay. Let's say the interpreters that you're watching on TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever there is, in politics, are they doing every word, or
No.
are they're not?
Okay. No, there's a lot of, there's not necessarily not the word the in ASL. There's, if I was said to, like hard work would be something like that and then a lot of it in the face. So if something is big, like if we're going to have to walk really far, you're going to, your mouth and your face is going to say about that. We'll just go moderately far. We're just going to go far. Right. So my face sort of stays a little more neutral. And that is why during COVID, covering up half of your face was so hard for them. And see, I will say,
I wouldn't have even known that. Mm-hmm. There you go. That's my ignorance.
I remember the first few times I went back to the store and everybody was, wearing masks and I had to go to the store. Of course, I'm wearing a mask too, but the checkout person, there's not a lot of people really talking to you in the store, but the checkout person, she would say something and being hard of hearing for such a long time, I take a lot of social cues from like what their face is doing. Like if then they start chuckling or something, I'll like, ha, ha, ha. I didn't hear anything you said, but ha, 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 whatever. But I could not do that. It was so hard. And I've told people this story. I said, she could have said someone passed away in her family. And I just laughed because I have no idea what you said. None, no clue. I heard stuff coming out of your mouth, but I couldn't make out not one word. So yeah, their face is really important for them. So when you see them signing, in the corner next to them, you'll see a lot of, maybe a lot of bigger movements or facial things that are happening. You see, I do enjoy watching music, right? Where they're signing what the song is, but it's a feeling too incorporated in. Yes, some of them are words that they are signing, but a lot of it is a feeling so that the person receiving that is understanding what the music feels like, right?
And if I may, have you always been hearing impaired?
To my knowledge, I passed the screen at birth. I don't know that they used to do it back then, but I was diagnosed as hard of hearing when I was somewhere around 12 or 13, when they do it in school, where they would take you and, beep, beep, beep. And I pretty well knew then that I failed. So I'm like, wait, I don't know. Did I just hear it again? So somewhere around that, 12 or 13, and went to the doctor and to the audiologist, I believe, or ear, nose, and throat. And he said, she'll be deaf by 18. Not one conversation about ASL, not one conversation about the deaf community, but fit me with hearing aids, which back then were essentially, what do they call that? Where it just makes everything louder. So although when I went to college and I was in these big, auditorium rooms, right, and the instructors down there, that did help because it's just a big, loud room. But when then someone would be next to me with rustling their paper, I'm like,
because of your hearing aids, because it was so loud to you.
So loud. And I don't hear a lot of little sounds, so when the dishwasher's done, I don't hear that. And so when you're able to hear it, it feels, there's just a lot going on. It's a lot for your body to have to sort of take in. So my guess is I had it even before that. So.
And what was it like to you to receive that diagnosis? Did that say a lot about maybe growing up, of the things that you hadn't realized, but actually it made sense?
No, except that my family felt really bad for, being angry with me for saying what so much, and going in the bathroom and a little bit more forcefully cleaning my ears than they probably should have, because I wasn't, paying attention. Or listening. So I do believe that sort of was like, oops.
Yeah.
And I didn't know either, right? I thought, oh gosh, I need to pay attention more. But looking back, of course, and even now, I a lot of times will lean to look at people's faces so that I can see their lips moving to sort of finish the little pieces that I didn't get put together.
And can you read lips?
Some, but reading lips is only for those even that say they're really good at it, 70% accurate.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You're teaching me so much today. I'm so glad you're on here. Okay. We're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, I'd like to discuss your book, and B, the course that you have put together.
Yes.
We will be right back. Have you been trying to find the right time to level up your professional dog trainer skills, knowledge, and certification? We built the Victoria Stilwell Academy's professional dog trainer course for people like you, and we've purposely designed it so that you can start whenever is most convenient for you. Or are you looking for how to begin as a professional dog trainer and don't know where to start? The Dog Trainer course guides you through the learning process from A to Z, delivering a powerful yet flexible experience, resulting in VSA's prestigious Certified Dog Trainer certification. Or maybe you're already a trainer, but feel there are a few holes in your skills and knowledge. VSA's flagship course contains all of the knowledge and skill-based assessments via your own dedicated faculty advisor to mentor you through the course and help build your confidence to be an elite dog training professional. Or perhaps you already run a pet business as a dog walker, a sitter, daycare, groomer, or your veterinary staff, and you want to be able to provide the clients who already trust you with certified training and behavior services as well. No matter where you are on your journey, the Victoria Stilwell Academy's Dog Trainer course is here to help you chase your dreams as a professional dog trainer. Our friendly, accessible team is available today to talk with you and help you determine whether VSA is the right fit for you. Or you can enroll in a completely free starter course right now to test drive the VSA Student Learning Center for yourself. Just visit vsdta.com to get in touch, enroll in a free course, or apply now. That's vsdta.com. Again, go to vsdta.com To learn more now. I can't wait to see you in class. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited about this book. This is the Puppy Progress Planner, and I'm going to hold it up. And Leah's business, dog training business, is Born to be Dog Training. And of course, Neika's is Vet Tech Coach. And this is such a fabulous book because it takes you right from, it's a 12-week training plan and helpful resources for raising a confident puppy. And it just feels good. I love books. I'm a big reader. I do listen to some books, but I love the feeling of books in my hand. I love the smell of books. And so if I could just live in a library, I'd be very happy. But every single week you have what is foundational skill, and you have like what your life skill is, what kind of socialization you do. Then you have what enrichment are you going to focus on that week? And you go through these 12 weeks. It is just, this tracks your dog's milestone with progress trackers. I mean, it is just such an interactive, beautifully put together, fabulously illustrated, easy to use puppy planning book. Tell me about what was it that made you and Leah do this? Oh, and you can get this on Amazon and other places too.
So I developed a puppy, what I always called a puppy grid before I brought Ellie home, which I wanted to raise her a little bit differently and sort of try my best to get outside of what
Ellie is your...
Yes. So she is my service dog, sort of. I am basically practicing with her for hearing support. I don't need her to go out into public with me, but I have been learning about the process of training a dog to actually alert. Oddly enough, she alerted this morning, and she's alerted one other time when I wasn't expecting it. And that time was something real was happening. I could not find the real thing that was happening today, but I was taken aback this morning when she did that.
How old is she now?
She's 4.
She's 4. She's a golden retriever.
She is golden retriever.
Delightful.
Little Rover Chase puppy. Yes. So
from Abigail Wittawa, who is another VSPDT who we love and adore in Alabama.
Love her.
Oh yeah. So she's 4. I can't believe she's 4 years old.
I know. So as I was preparing to get her, I wanted to do things outside of what I would consider my normal. I wanted to reread some things or freshen up on some of the experts and just think about things in a different way than what I always have done things. So we chose to, for example, sleep with this dog. In the past, when I was single, I did. Then when I got married and had children, we did have a dog that slept with one of my children for a time, but no one really in our bed for a while. So that was one of the differences that I wanted to do. So kind of I gathered all of the big experts in the dog world, the puppy dog world, and, the 100 people in 100 days and locations and substrates and textures and the whole thing, and put them together and tried to block them off in ways that you could, more manageable steps, essentially, right? Because of course, the first few weeks you get a puppy, it's like, it's all great, you're going along and everybody's helping and the family. And then all of a sudden it was like, ugh.
Yeah. The
honeymoon is over.
That's it.
So mine hung on my fridge so that, I took her to the car wash today. Plus it was COVID. I took her through the car wash today. I took her to Ace Hardware, which is one thing my husband would do. Like he'd look real quick and say, oh, I got to run down there. I'm going to take her with me. Okay, great. She doesn't actually have to physically be touched by anyone for all this to be beneficial, as we know. So essentially I put together those things. And also I really wanted to impress upon my clients moving forward too, how important it is to the foundational stuff is way more important than the obedience. How many people would call like, well, I need my dog to learn sit, down, and stay. Yeah. And your dog can be really good at that stuff and, bite people, for example, or be unsocialized. So it was really important for me to put together something that was easy to use and kind of a checkbox sort of thing. And I used that for 3 years. Then I met Leah. She's so amazing with the way that her brain does work and kind of puts things together. And we started talking about putting this together in a book for the program, the e-course that we worked on for several years. And I couldn't be happier with how it turned out. It's amazing.
So you have something online that people can take.
Yeah, Leah, Born to Be Dog Training, has the e-course that was just launched this month after heading out to California last year to be in a studio recording dog training videos, which, by the way,
wow,
very hard. Very, very hard.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
The studio is really small. They try to make it look big on camera, but it's really small and the dogs are distracted. There's people everywhere.
Yeah, welcome to my world.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
very different from very different from, being in someone's house and, of sort of a more controlled environment. But it was 3 days of, it's 16 hours easy each day. It was hard work. And so finally released this month. I'm super proud of her. I was along for the ride. I give her all the credit of, the majority of the big picture of how this was all going to go together.
Now, if people want to find it, where do they go?
borntobe.com on her website. It will all be there. There's a big masterclass that is there that they can do all of the modules, including reactivity, puppy stuff. There are several that are separate modules, like a puppy module that is there. And it is so good, so inclusive, not only, captioning, but signed voiceover on the videos, as well as captioning on the bottom, because as maybe people aren't aware, it really is hard to read the bottom and watch what is happening at the same exact time when you're the learner. It's a little different when you're, taking in information like on a news where there's an interpreter there and you're taking in the information, but not necessarily also having to watch something and see what they're doing. So where we did the videos, the studio that we did them, they were really good about putting the noises in there when the clicker clicked. So that was even there. I did some of the voiceovers as Leah had tried to record some, but she can't hear when it's background noise in where she's at, right? So she kept having to redo that. And I said, just let me do them. I will do them. So it was really good.
How exciting. And this is available to anybody.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. I would absolutely recommend it, certainly for the deaf community, but anybody. It doesn't certainly have to be anybody that's deaf at all to benefit. It is an inclusive program for sure. And again, the way that her brain works and some of the visuals that she used when we were in the learning part of the modules were like, oh, I like that. It's such a great idea. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How incredible. Look, I feel very honored that she chose to come to VSA. She chose to, and bore with us, as it were. She did. She was basically had a lot of she stuck at it on encouraging us that this is what we needed to do. And, right there, we didn't have the bandwidth to do it. Yeah. Nor did we have the people that would be able to help us do it. And then, of course, Neika, you stepped up and you were able to be that bridge that now has enabled VSA to be a place where, as I said, everybody can come, but where we are accessible to the deaf community. Mm-hmm. And with you, Neika, and then with Leah, and now our deaf students, this is what makes me smile about education, because somebody that, has been blessed with good hearing and good eyesight, and, that we just go about life not really thinking about what it's like. And I do have to say this, I'm not putting this on the same level whatsoever. But when I got into my early 20s, something happened to me that changed my life and my ability to be able to do things. Right. And that's something that's pertinent to me. And, maybe one day I'll talk about it, but I'm not ready to talk about it right now. So, for the first time, I experienced what it was like to have people question what I could or couldn't do and look at me differently.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe now everybody's going, oh my God, what's wrong with her? But as I said, one day I'll talk about it. And I suddenly began to think, wait a second, I guess people have the best intentions, but actually some of the time, would you just shut up? And then secondly, what you've said is just really insulting and you didn't know that. And now I'm very conscious about being the same, using the right words. And, I want to be as inclusive as possible. VSA does. We want to welcome everybody, students, faculty, advisors. We want people to feel accepted and safe here at VSA, but we still got learning to do. And I think it's really important that businesses like ours go, okay, please people, would you tell us how to do it? And we'll do it to the best of our ability. There might be some things that we just don't have the bandwidth to do right now. But please don't think we're not going to be able to do it, because we're going to find a way, find people to help us to try.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your reach is so far, right? And the one thing that I can say that since knowing Leah, and she is so good about asking, there have been days or, maybe she texted me and I said, I'm having a really bad day or, whatever. And, she would say, if there's something that you would like to talk about, I'm here. Yeah, if not, but she'll ask like, how are you? Is there anything you would like to talk about? Or she's asked me on more than one occasion, how do you want to be identified? Do you want to be identified as hard of hearing or not? Right. So for some of the, titles on the course and things. So even before we started this, you did that. You asked like, is this the correct word? Is this right? And I think that's the curiosity that is so needed in it all. If they felt like meaning, I'm going to say the deaf community felt like we were genuinely curious and genuinely wanted to help, that it would make this so much easier. But so many times someone, reaches out and then closes the door on them without even finding out more information. Well, I don't think you can do that. There were some things I had mentioned before about, demand barking with her. It's a demand. I said, oh, turn your back. That doesn't work. That does not work for a deaf human, right? Like turning their back to what? To when? They can't hear when the dog stops barking to turn back around, right? So, and in some ways, in a lot of ways, her timing is way better than mine, right? Like because she's only focused on what she's looking at and she doesn't even hear some of the things in the background that distract me a little bit, right? So it's fascinating. And I think a great conversation about inclusivity, the curiosity is what we all need. Ask more questions.
I think curiosity across the board is vital. Mm-hmm. Curiosity, there are various factions that don't want you to be curious, that just want you to follow along like sheep. No, you've got to be curious. That is your power. I feel like curiosity is your superpower. Whether you feel that you are marginalized, whether you feel that you're not listened to, whether your government is telling you that you are less than. No. Your curiosity is your power. You learn, you read, you do courses, you investigate topics that you become informed. That is your power. That's what a lot of people, they don't want, especially if they don't understand you. We know that as sort of women, we're kind of have been marginalized for a long time, right? And we try to fight for equality in our work, for equality in everything, especially in the entertainment industry, Neika. I mean, when we're talking about equality, there is really no equality. There is not a lot of female dog trainers out there that have achieved what I have, that are out there in the media. But there are lots of males, aren't there?
Yep.
Because that's the entertainment world. That's the producers. They choose male. And we're not just talking about male producers choosing male producers choosing male hosts, I should say, for want of a better word, or experts. No, it's female producers choosing male hosts. And I don't think they really understand or realize that they're doing it. And then as a woman, the older you get, the harder it is, because now you're sort of on the shelf and you're not useful anymore. So it doesn't matter. We've all got to be, regardless of where we are and who we are and what we have and what we don't have, that curiosity is what we all have and what we all have access to. Yep. And how fabulous when you realize that. And I said to my daughter, I was like, when she was having some challenges at college, and everybody else seems to be these confident, great actors and blah, blah, blah. And she's a thinker. She's an academic. She's brilliant and so talented. But she's like, why, what can I do? And I was like, do you know what you have on your side? You have curiosity. You have that ability to learn, to absorb, to put yourself out there and to attain new knowledge. How amazing that is. And I feel like that has been VSA's superpower, is to say, hey, we don't have all the answers. We are curious. We're going to keep evolving and we need your help.
Yep.
And so I want to say, I'm so excited to have Leah here next month, but I want to say thank you to Leah. Thank you to you. And thank you to all of our students who've come to our course to say, hey, you could do this. You could do that.
Yep.
You can make it better that. You can make me feel like this. And as I said, our visually impaired student, she was in our in-person track in 2024, actually. And she was amazing. And she was there and she came and did our in-person session, the 6-day in-person session with me and her fellow classmates. And she was incredible. She was incredible. And, and just told me, just was educating me. Like, absolutely, how I needed just to teach in front of her, what she needed, where she needed to be placed. That's all because I don't know. So and I just went on this diatribe, but Neika, it makes me excited.
For sure. And I also adjacent to this a little bit is that although, the deaf community, the visually impaired community, they certainly need, to maybe point out like me, right? Like, oh, you're a beginner, right? But I also very well understood it wasn't her job to teach me, right? It's her, it's still my course to do the work, right? I have to do the work. And in a lot of other marginalized communities, I have learned to just zip the lip and be quietly watching, right? Learning, quietly watching and figuring out like, okay, like the Gallaudet thing. I did ask her for her advice on like, what about this school? What about this school? But it wasn't her job to finish teaching me, right?
Absolutely is not.
Yeah. And I would say VSA has done a really good job. Like, I think at first, like, oh, wait, I don't know exactly how to do this. And then there have been some suggestions along the way that you guys have met the needs for and risen to the occasion. And then it starts to sort of snowball in a good way towards like, oh yeah, wait, now we need to do this. Like this podcast today, having it available on video with closed captioning is a great example. Captioning your videos on TikTok and other locations where they can read them, right? And how many of us anyway, just read it, when you don't want your sound on anyway.
Yeah, right. Exactly. When you're at work and you're like, I hope nobody's watching me, but I'm just going to do some scrolling.
Yes.
Which I love. Oh my gosh, Neika, thank you so much for.
Thank you.
Thank you. And don't forget, it's the Puppy Progress Planner. You can get it. Where are the best places to get this?
Amazon right now is really the only place to get that.
Okay.
And Leah Bornstein, Neika Smessaert, Puppy Progress Planner. You can get it in hardback or soft cover. And I like the soft cover too. It's very interesting that you say that. I don't know, the feel of it is kind of,
it's so soft
cool.
as well.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of funny.
But thank you so much, Neika, for joining me today. And as I said, next month we're going to have Leah, and I'm very glad that this is going to be available in video as well. And yes, thank you for taking the time, and also for taking the time with VSA. And also thank you to Leah. And this is the Puppy Progress Planner. I'm telling you, everybody, you got to go out and buy it, because it's really going to help you, especially if you have a puppy. But I think this is also really important for trainers to buy it, to take a look at it as well, so that you can recommend it. Thank you so much, Neika.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. That's another podcast done. And I just love the guests that I have here. They are amazing. And, we learn so much. And I hope that you've learned a lot today. So everybody take care, and I'll see you on another podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to Victoria Stilwell's Positively podcast. For Victoria's online dog training courses, more information, and helpful dog training tips, visit Victoria's official website at positively.com. Get connected on Facebook, Instagram, and other social media as Victoria Stilwell, and follow her on Twitter at Victoria S. Learn to become a professional dog trainer with the Victoria Stilwell Academy at vsdogtrainingacademy.com. And be sure to tune in next time as Victoria helps you and your dog live your best life together, positively.